Time now for a look back at the last week in the craft beer industry. Pour a cold one and sit back for an all-new episode of Pints and Quarts, presented by Craft Beer Nation.
All right, well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Pints and Quarts from Craft Beer Nation. Today is September 25th, 2014, and this is episode 16 of our little show. Can you guys believe that? We are 16 episodes in, 4 months into this little project, so that's kind of exciting. Got a panel tonight of Randy Gardner Jr., Gil Mello, Doug Nolan, Charles Dunkley, and myself, Matt Miller. So, that little bit of introduction out of the way, we're going to dive right into the news. We do not have a special guest tonight. Well, we have 4 special guests. We've got Randy, Gil, Doug, and Charles, I guess. But but we want to dive into the news and spend a little more time on the other end with the reviews and festivals coming up. So this is going to be the lead story here tonight is the pumpkin ale is ridiculously vital to craft beer. This is an article that I saw a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's from thestreet.com, and it counters how much, or it states how much money that the craft beer industry makes from seasonal beers. I think the article title was a little misleading. It says pumpkin ale is ridiculously vital, but then all of the statistics in it are about seasonal beers. And I would imagine your winter warmers and your summer shandies, and I would think all of those things are considered seasonal beers because it was a significant portion of craft beer volumes. So, what do you guys think? I mean, we're definitely coming into a season now that, I mean, even Keystone Light has orange cartons, orange boxes at the grocery store trying to dive in on some of this action.
So is it just like seasonal beers or like just annual releases that they're talking about? Do you know?
Well, it specifically says seasonal beers.
So that doesn't take into account, say, like a hop slam, or
yeah, I wouldn't think that would be considered part of it. It could be, I guess, because I think they maybe are intentionally vague on where their numbers are coming from, but. It starts with pumpkin beer wouldn't show up on the shelves early without a reason, but then it goes in when it starts to talk about, seasonal beer makes up 15 to 25% of the more than 14 billion in annual craft beer sales.
Well, I mean, I can see where, especially in the case of pumpkin beer, where it would be a pretty good bit of sales for a brewery, because just like you just mentioned, I mean, we saw pumpkin beers coming on the shelves in July. And a lot of people who may not necessarily drink craft beer are kind of enticed by pumpkin beers because it gives them a taste that they aren't used to in their regular macro lagers or whatnot. So I mean, it's like they love being able to taste these pumpkin spices and be able to drink a beer that may or may not have pumpkin in it. You know what I mean? That's kind of intriguing to a lot of people. So, I mean, I can definitely see where pumpkin beer in particular would be a nice chunk of sales. I mean, considering if it's going from July all the way to, let's just say, the end of October, you know what I'm saying? That's more than a quarter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of the year.
Right, but that's only one of the beers in their lineup.
Right. Right, and that's why it's so. It's almost ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, do you think it's more for kind of the, I guess, maybe more entry-level craft beer people versus, I guess the more seasoned people? Because I know for me, like, I don't really pay much attention to many of the seasonal things. I mean, I guess maybe my drinking may vary based upon the seasons, but, like, I don't typically think of, like, Imperial Stouts is a seasonal beer. Just tends to fall more, into your winter beers. I don't find myself rushing out to get pumpkin beers or, special like summer beers.
October sells more than IPAs from the end of September to the beginning of December.
There are beers that are just made during special seasons. Like you said, the colder months you're more in line with a big Russian Imperial Stout, and in the summer months you're going to want lighter IPAs and fractional IPAs and that kind of thing. But I wouldn't consider those to be seasonal beers. I would consider a seasonal beer something that the brewery makes for the season. If you go to the brewery, they're going to have 7 staples that are on tap all the time, and then a seasonal beer, a wheat beer in the spring, a lager in the summer, a stout in the winter, and a pumpkin beer. Apparently, every place is making a pumpkin beer or a pumpkin something.
Matt, I'll say this to Doug's point. Like I don't think it's necessarily people who are new to craft beer. I think it's just a matter of personal preference, because I'm kind of in the same vein with Doug in that I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to pumpkin beers, but as I look through my stream on Google Plus, a lot of people there who are seasoned craft beer people still get a kick out of getting pumpkin beers, particularly pumpkin. Like, I went to my grocery store and they had enough pumpkin there to give one to every troop on Paris Island and every troop overseas. They had a ridiculous amount of pumpkin, and it was like August 1st. Pumpkin and Warlock. So these are people. Grocery stores have their things down to a science, and so if they order that amount of pumpkin beer, there's definitely a reason why. But I don't think it's just new people, because there are a lot of people on Google Plus who are still crazy about pumpkin beer.
Yeah, and pumpkin is definitely I think is the one that gets the most crazies going.
You definitely hear more about it than anything else. It's the season. Like, everybody. You hear a lot of people talk about it. I guess maybe me saying season versus non-season craft beer drinkers may have been a little far-fetched, because, like Randy said, there's plenty of people drinking them, but that's the style. When you think of seasonal beers, like, kind of is on the top of the pedestal, and everything else is just kind of.
And what season and what special release as well, right?
All right. Well, and I guess the summary of it is yes, it's important, and yes, I guess that's marketing. So people are gonna buy what the breweries are marketing and putting in front of them. And I certainly enjoy the seasonals as they come out. I certainly look forward to pumpkin beer, and I'm a seasoned craft beer drinker. I look forward to pumpkins and look forward to those other things as well. So, all right, we're having a little audio trouble with Gil. Are you guys hearing Gil all right? And I'm not.
I can hear him.
All right.
I can't.
All right. Sorry for the interruption there, folks. But back to the news here. So, Randy, what was it you had found here? Something on the Travel Channel about a show?
Yeah. So, Travel Channel is based. Well, I don't want to say in DC. It's in the DC metro area in Chevy Chase, Maryland. They released this article about a short form web series that they have coming out about craft beer. It's going to be called Microbrew Madness, and as they call it, it's a spirited journey across America to discover some of the nation's best craft breweries. So I haven't had a chance to check this out yet, but they're going to be 16 episodes, or webisodes as they call them, but they're only going to be 6 minutes long. And all the shows are going to be hosted by one of 4 people. One is a lady named Lori Griffiths, who is from Girls Gone Bayou on TravelChannel.com. One is Ewan Porter. He's a pro golfer from Australia. Olivia Speranza, who's from Terminal Bliss at San Francisco's airport, or SFO. I think that's San Francisco Airport. And a guy named Ryan Van Duzer. He's from TravelChannel.com's bike tour of California wineries. And so they're going to be doing these tours across the country, and they're going to be speaking with chefs and brewmasters to learn about specific food pairings and drinking the history of each city, and why each microbrewery that they visit is a place to be. It's a can't miss destination. And some of the notable places that they're going to visit, notable cities rather, that they're going to visit are Atlanta. They're going to be in Boulder, Chicago, Cleveland, Grand Rapids, Minneapolis.
How close are they going to get to us here on the East Coast? Looks like Winston-Salem, maybe.
Winston-Salem is probably going to be the closest they're going to get to us. But they're going to some good beer cities. They're going to St. Louis, Tampa, Minneapolis, right? So
yeah.
They have a list of some of the breweries they're going to be visiting as well. So I'll name some of the notable ones: Cigar City,
Yep.
Foothills.
Oh, there we go. There's your North Carolina connection.
Avery.
Yeah.
Surly. Founders. Goose Island. Great Lakes. Southern Tier. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I guess you could have just listed them, and we'd have known where all the cities
are. Right. So I mean, it's not like they are visiting some breweries that I've never heard of. Like I've never heard of Five Seasons Brewing out of Atlanta. I think I heard of Yazoo out of Nashville. Have you been there, Matt?
I have, and I've not been to Yazoo Brewing, but I've had their distributed stuff, and I wasn't impressed.
Okay. There also there's a Square One Brewery and Distillery in St. Louis and Verboten Brewing in Loveland, Colorado.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of intriguing to me because they're visiting some solid breweries. So I think I'm going to go to travelchannel.com and check out these shows. As I said, they're only 6 minutes long. So I mean, if you're not
when is the first one coming out?
I'm not sure. They didn't say when the first episode just started. I mean,
this article is just from like a week ago. So
yeah.
And actually, I credited it wrong. I said it was travelchannel.com. Well, it's them that are launching it, but the article that Randy found that we all read here a little bit ago was from craftbeer.com. So they're the ones that reported that. I wanted to straighten that out.
So if you're off one day, you can knock out all 16 of these episodes.
Yeah. Or even if you're at work.
Yeah.
6-minute video, you can get that in between meetings. So all right. Well, talking about media, Doug, what's the name of that show they're going to do? A movie about Virginia brewing. And Doug is muted. They're making a movie specific.
Sorry about that. I was on the other webpage trying to get more information about it.
So they're making a movie specifically about the Virginia craft beer scene.
Yeah, so as many of you guys know, in Virginia, just a few years ago, you couldn't go to a brewery in the state of Virginia and buy pints of beer, glasses of beer. You had to, get samples or whatever. And then when they changed the law, breweries just started blowing up everywhere in the state of Virginia. And so the craft beer scene in Virginia is just growing just leaps and bounds. And there's a documentary coming out about the rise of craft beer in Virginia called From Grain to Growler. And it's again, I'm trying to see, it looks like there's not very much information out there about it, but it's basically just documenting the growth of craft beer in Virginia over the last few years. And they're having, looks like it's being released for Virginia Craft Beer Month. It looks like the first showing was in Richmond, or I guess they started during Craft Beer Month because it's been going on for a while now. It's like August 9th in Richmond, August 21st, August 23rd, September 12th, September 26th, and October 3rd. And we have one coming up here on, you guys may remember the date I mentioned, the 18th of October.
No chance of that, my
We're
man.
having
Do you know the top of your head how many brewers in Virginia right now?
A ridiculous number.
Yeah,
I couldn't even venture a guess. There's it's crazy because of that main law change. About 4 years ago, we only had one brewery here.
Yeah.
And I think now we've got 7.
And I've got 3 within a mile and a half of my house.
Yeah.
The nano breweries.
I can name 5 that I can get to in 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like that. I like that the little guy has got a chance, can sell a pint without having to have a big distribution contract and all this kind of stuff. I think we're finding that there are some folks that have a good business plan and don't know how to make beer. And we're finding that there are folks that know how to make beer but don't know how to run a business. And those guys are going to wash out or merge or do something. But
Matt, you know what, Matt? Everybody doesn't have to be a Stone or a Lagunitas.
Right.
Right. So there's something good, there's something nice about having your local brewery or one of your local breweries with no intentions on really getting any bigger, who's content with being that nano or micro brewery.
Yeah, and at the prices right now, selling $7 a pint on the bar, for something that you made with a few pounds of grain in the back room.
Yep.
There's the margin. We saw that model on that. Did you guys see that picture that had the 30% to the distributor model, and then the brewery gets this percent, and then the bottle shop? But you take that all that the 60% that goes to distributor and bottle shop all goes to the bar owner, all goes to the brewery. So I like that little business model. I kind of figured it would result in cheaper nano beer, but I guess the market is the market. So.
Yeah. Well, it looks like the next showing is tomorrow night at Licking Hole Creek in Richmond.
Richmond, okay.
Yeah, and I would imagine they are prominent in that. They're one of the bigger farm microbreweries here in Virginia. One of the more popular ones.
Licking Hole Creek was instrumental in getting. There was a law that recently changed in Virginia that had to do with craft breweries and farms. For it to be considered a farm brewery or something like that. Yeah. So the law was passed in favor of that, and Licking Hole Creek was probably the biggest voice in getting that law passed. So, and they're big in Richmond. They're as big as Hardywood Park in Richmond, I'd say.
I would say too. And then they sell everything in these 750 champagne bottles.
Yep.
So that's how they get around, and there again, less bottling line, less hassle, less clinkety clink of the glasses together. But Charles and I just talked before we went on the air. We're going to do a special show on this, or a special bit on this later. But New York has just changed some laws with regards to farming and brewing. And our good friends over at the Craft Beverage Jobs made a post, and there are Charles. Who was it? Where did that article come from? Do you remember?
It might have been a local. It might have been a local newspaper.
Like
around Syracuse, yeah.
Yeah, but now there are farms that are growing their own barley, growing their own hops, going to brew it into beer, and they think that's a business model that they can have up and fully functional in just 5 years or something. So.
Yeah. Because we have the Farm Bill passed in 2012 here, and it starts out with 25% requirement, locally grown, and each year it goes up and up and up and up. And this company is basically not only growing for themselves, they're growing to start supplying the breweries that have that Farm brew status to be able to have product for them. So It's going to be interesting.
Well, good. That's the business model expanding out.
Yeah.
To answer Gil's question, per the brewersassociation.org's website, Virginia has 61 craft breweries, and that ranks 15th in the country. And so that's only one brewery per capita, but that rank is 30th in the country. So that's one per 100,000 21 and older adults.
Wow, we certainly could support more than that.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And Virginia's got a lot of wineries too, so there are a lot of people drinking wine instead of beer here. But we'll convert them one by one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we kind of moved through the news. Gil, are you able to talk?
I don't know.
Yeah, you are. I can hear you now.
Yeah.
There's a collaboration coming out that we wanted to talk about when you were here.
Yeah, I just want to touch very quick on it. I hope Doug doesn't fall off the chair there. But the guy from Cantillon, the master brewery, called Russian River and Allagash, and asked them if they want to do a collab, and they said yes.
How do you say? Who would say no to that?
Right. You call out DNC Cantillon, and you're like, oh,
yeah, I'm good, man. Keep that. So they're gonna blend it.
They're gonna blend a 3-year lambic from Cantillon, a 2.5-year-old I think it's called the Code Ship from Allagash.
Yep. And we lost him again. And a 2-year-old Russian River.
Well, now he's talking, but he's muted.
No, I think he's in a hotel Wi-Fi situation. So, but that is so basically the collaboration is Cantillon, Russian River, and Allagash are going to take some of their old sours, spontaneously fermented lambics and sours, and blend them together and make a wild friendship blend. And
combined, this beer is going to be 7.5 years old. So
yeah,
it's a 2-year-old, a 2.5-year-old, and a 3-year-old.
Right, and you're gonna have to trade your 7.5-year-old child to get a bottle of this. It's gonna be hard to get, I think. So,
to say the least.
Yeah, so something to look forward to.
And we don't have a release date yet for that yet.
I don't think there's a release date on that.
That came straight from the Department of the Redundancy Department. What I just said. We don't have a release date yet for that.
And that's
well, you know, and then you said it
news.
a second time, so that's the redundancy of the redundancy, right? We're here for the comedic value. All right, hey, we're gonna do a little something different this week for the review of the week. The review of the week is a video review, and it is what this kind of ties in with the pumpkin beers we're talking about today, and the Friday night hangout tomorrow night. The style is barley wines, but there is a almanac made an heirloom pumpkin barley wine, 12%. So that bad boy is going to be pretty significant, I guess you could say. But Beer Geek Nation, if you guys are following them on YouTube. I guess they got like 25,000 folks that follow them on YouTube. But he did a review of this here the other day, and he said I could snap a little bit of the audio and play it here on the show. So this is Chris Stells from Beer Geek Nation talking about Almanac's Heirloom Pumpkin.
Massive, sweet pumpkin pie, cinnamon, nutmeg. Wow. Middle of the mouth. This beer just takes over, just envelops it. Huge body on this one. Sweet caramel notes, toffee, burnt sugar, lots of oak, toasted coconut, vanilla, more of that pumpkin pie flavor. I get a lot of brandy in the middle of the mouth. It's that sweet brandy kind of alcohol-y fruits.
All right, so sweet, caramelly, alcohol-y fruits.
I want that beer.
Me too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't watched any of Chris's videos, he is not short of adjectives when it comes to describing.
He's a thesaurus.
That's right. I'm kind of jealous because when I review a beer, I'm like, oh, this is malty. This is malty, and he's like caramelly, toffee, burnt sugar. And I'm like, well, okay, I get that too, but I just said malty, So I guess that's why he has 25,000 followers and I don't. He's much better at describing his beer. But thanks, Chris, for that review and for letting me use the audio. We'll repost that. The whole video is like 5 minutes, but man, does that beer look and sound delicious. So, and here we are. We're talking about pumpkin beers, and believe me, if you're going to do a pumpkin beer, go big or go home. I mean, here's a 12% pumpkin barley wine. That's not the standard. And let's put a little pumpkin spice, allspice, and clove in this beer and be done with it.
Well, it kind of falls into what we were talking about the other day. I guess maybe I don't know if we touched on Friday or Thursday last week about doing pumpkin beers, but something that you wouldn't typically think of as a pumpkin beer, like a barley wine or something kind of obscure.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Wait, so what style is the beer he just did?
A barley wine.
Barley wine.
Yeah,
and
barley wine.
He started out describing it as an English barley wine, which I think came from Almanac's description. But then he said, no, this definitely tastes more of an American barley wine. But
so it's a pumpkin barley wine, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
Heirloom pumpkin barley wine.
Mm.
So yeah, so that one, I don't think I get. Doug, do we get Almanac here in Virginia? I don't think we do.
No, that'll be hard for us to get, man.
I think they only distribute
That's California.
In Colorado.
Yeah, so that'll be it. So if you've got one of those bottles laying around, send it to somebody and we'll enjoy it. I mean, unless you want to enjoy it yourself.
Me.
On the list of other new releases this week, there's Founders has got Big Luscious coming out. That's on their Backstage series. I don't know what Big Luscious is, but it kind of sounds funny and interesting.
Sounds like you, Matt.
Yeah, there we go. Sam Adams has got a Cosmic Motherfunk Grand Cru, and I did say funk with an N in there, so we don't have to change our rating on YouTube.
That's a big deal too, because that's the beer that they blend into all their sour beers. So when you see their barrel root collection, those funky bottles they have, all the tags will say blended with part of Cosmic Motherfunk, and I don't know if they've ever released it.
Just by itself? Interesting.
Yeah, I think the Cosmic Motherfunk is either a yeast strain or a bacteria strain that they use. I can't remember.
Well, they've got an actual some sort of sour beer that's called Cosmic Motherfunk.
All right, and then they just blend it in to give the lacto kind of flavorings to other beers.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Stone's got another smoked porter variation coming out. This one's gonna have chocolate and orange in it. That's coming out the 1st of October. I'll give it a try. I like Stone. I like the chipotle. I like the vanilla. So I guess I'll give chocolate and orange a try. That doesn't sound like an absolutely tantalizing combination for me, but that's just probably my personal disdain for orange flavoring in chocolate.
Terrapin did a Weizenbach called Moonray. It was one of their side projects that was a chocolate orange Weizenbach, and it was delicious.
All right. Well, then maybe it won't be so bad.
Last year at the Beers for Beast from 6 Point in 2013, they had this ICANN has orange chocolate milk stout, which was probably the best beer that they had there. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah. ICANN has chocolate orange stout?
ICANN has orange chocolate milk stout.
Orange chocolate milk stout. All right.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
Yeah. All right. Odell and Boulevard have a collaboration coming out. A 180 shilling 25th anniversary coming out in November. 180 shilling is going to be a big malt bomb, I would imagine. Ithaca has an Ember Rye Porter that just came out yesterday. Charles, you have to be on the lookout for that one. I'm not a big fan of rye beers. What do you think of rye beers?
Oh, I love rye beers. They're my favorite.
All right, well, then you got one in your backyard. Sounds like you have to give that one a try. But you don't usually find rye in a porter. Usually you find rye in a hoppier beer. But that'll be interesting to try.
I'm going to be up in Ithaca tomorrow, so I'll see if I can...
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
Jester King's got an Aurelian Lore, a barrel-aged wild beer re-fermented with apricot. That comes out here this week.
It don't matter what they make. I want it.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. Terrapin's got another Moohoo. Gil, if you're unmuted, what is that? Chiato chocolate espresso milk stout. So there's another variation of their Moohoo. I imagine that's coming out in the 330 bottles, or the 22-ounce bomber bottles. Avery has two big pumpkin beers out. Pumpkin with a KY in brackets, a 17.22% pumpkin beer. In Kentucky bourbon barrels, I believe, is why the KY is in the brackets. And they also have Rumkin coming out, and that's 16.75% ABV.
And I want both of those.
I was about to say, so let me say this. Me and Doug both, it's fitting that Doug said that, because we both said how we weren't that big of fans of pumpkin beers, but I want that beer that Beer Geek Nation just spoke about, and I want those two beers from Avery.
You had me at 17% alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful with those, right?
No, you don't.
No, you don't. Just go at it. Just go nuts. All right. Festivals. We've got a few coming up here. We've got the Brewed in Michigan Beer and Food Festival. That's going to be Friday in Milford, Michigan. Pour the Cure in Philly. That's going to be the 26th. That's going to be Friday as well. Columbus Oktoberfest is the 26th and 28th through the 28th. Des Moines Oktoberfest. Starting to see a theme here, all these Oktoberfests, but it's still September 26th and 27th.
Well,
obviously in Des Moines, Iowa.
The real Oktoberfest is in September, so.
Well, I guess maybe they're lining up just right then.
Yeah.
Beer-A-Cana Craft Beer and Music Festival is in Holly Springs, North Carolina. This might be the third week we've announced this one, and you need to get to this one. This is going to be a big time. Charles has got some friends that are going bought up to get the VIP tickets. So that'll be good if you're down there. Just ask around for Charles Dunkley's friends. Because just walk up to everybody and say, "Do you know Charles Dunkley?" And sooner or later you'll find someone that. But assuming these friends will admit to knowing you, I guess. That's probably how we'll build on that. Independence, Oregon has their Independence Hop and Heritage Festival, the 26th through the 28th this weekend. Belmar, New Jersey is having a thing they're calling Beer at the Pier. That's on Saturday. And the Crystal City Brew Festival is going to be the 4th of October. That's the next weekend, and that's in Painted Post, New York. Just an evening festival there, a 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. festival. So get your tickets early for that one. That one's going to be a lot of fun. And you can actually go to that one and probably see Charles Dunkley. So Charles is a new celebrity.
And that's at a Harley Davidson shop, too. So. pretty cool.
All right, so drink a beer and then smash the bottle over your head and ride away into the sunset. So, so I think that's just about it for us here tonight. We have gone through the news. We've talked about festivals. We've shared a little bit of knowledge and asked a few questions. So come join the conversation at Craft Beer Community on Google+. Come to our blog at craftbeernation.org and just engage. We're here. There's Twitter. We're CBN Community on Twitter, and we're Instagram and all those other kind of fun things. So find us, hang out with us, find some good beer, find some good friends. And until next time, mind your P's and Q's.
This has been Pints and Quarts, brought to you by Craft Beer Nation. You can show your support for our podcast by subscribing to our content on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, or our website, craftbeernation.org. Thanks for listening.